Hello grade 4. How are you today? Today we are going to continue Unit 9 with lesson 3, 4 and 5. We will know what are the sites that attract tourists to Egypt. What is the bar chart? And how to take notes in a museum. To know all these, let's start our unit.
Hello grade 4, today we are going to continue unit 9 with lessons 3, 4 and 5. So let's start. What are the objectives of these 3 lessons? We are going to listen to information about tourism and archaeology, learn about bar chart, and how to write notes for objects in a museum. So now, let's start with vocab, lesson 3, tourism and archaeology. Number 1, engravings. Engravings are these symbols that written in the wall or carved in the wall. Mask. Structures. Structures are like buildings. Tomb. Here, letter P is silent, okay? Pottery. Or you can say pottery, like a little D. Clay. And clay is the material that we made pottery of it. Perfume. Tools. Vase. Cruise. And cruise is a trap, but in the Nile. Port. Berry. Carve. So now, let's move to our reading text about tourism and archaeology. Lots of people visit Egypt every year because of the amazing archaeological sites. Tourists want to see the large monuments, pyramids, and temples. It's incredible to think that ancient Egyptians were building these amazing structures over 4,000 years ago, when civilizations in other countries were much simpler. Archaeologists have found lots of artifacts such as tools, pottery, vases, and masks. These can tell us about how people lived in ancient Egypt. For example, we know that ancient Egyptians used lots of pottery. They made pottery vases from clay, and they sometimes decorated them. They used them to hold water and food. They also made small pots for oil and perfume. So, what are some of the most popular sites that tourists want to visit? Now we are going to know what are the places that attract tourists to Egypt. Of course, Giza, one of these sites. Sometimes, when people think about Egypt, they think of pyramids and the Sphinx. This is the Sphinx, okay? At Giza. They are famous all over the world. Archaeologists think that the ancient Egyptians built the Sphinx to protect the pyramids. Okay, these are their thoughts about Sphinx. They carved it from one huge piece of stone. So, this Sphinx or this large monument or large statue was one huge stone. Saqqara. This is one of the biggest sites in Egypt. It has many tombs, including one of the oldest pyramids in Egypt. Builders made this for King Djoser about 2613 BCE. It is the step pyramid. Step pyramid means that it like the stairs, has steps. And it's one of the oldest stone monuments. Alexandria. There are lots of things to see in this port city, including a Roman theater, the old town, and Qaitbay citadel. Alexandria used to be the capital city of Egypt. So, Alexandria was the capital city of Egypt, and now Cairo is the capital. It had the first library of Alexandria, which is famous all over the world. Luxor. Many tourists visit Luxor from a Nile River cruise, and we know that cruise is a trip with boat in the Nile. They can see the temple of Karnak and the Valley of Kings. Ancient Egyptians buried their kings and queens here for thousands of years. You can see lots of painting and engravings in the temples. These are the engravings, the symbols that carved in the temples. There are lots of other amazing things to see in Egypt. What would you like to visit? Of course, Egypt has a lot of places to visit, rather these places. Can you tell us some of them? Lesson 4 is talking about math. So, what are we need to know in this lesson? We need to know what is a bar chart, bar chart, bar chart, vertical, 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 horizontal, horizontal, horizontal. Y-axis, y-axis, y-axis. This is the y-axis, the vertical one. Vertical axis is y-axis. And we have x-axis, x-axis, x-axis. This is the horizontal one. Horizontal axis is x-axis. So, here, this is a piece of the text about bar chart. Adam wanted to show the most popular exhibition in his museum. He used a bar chart, so this is a bar chart to show how many people visited the exhibitions. The line across the bottom is called the x-axis. It's horizontal, this one. This one is the horizontal axis. The x-axis here show different exhibitions. The y-axis is the line that goes up, this one, from 0 to 60. It's vertical. Vertical, this one is vertical axis. The y-axis here shows the number of visitors on one day in July. So this vertical axis or y-axis shows the number of visitors to a museum in one day in July. And the x-axis or the horizontal axis shows the different exhibitions in a museum. Clothes and jewelry, games, art, poetry, homes, tools, and agriculture. So all these are in the horizontal axis. Lesson 5 is about writing, and we will know some writing tips in this lesson. But before we move to the writing tips, let's know this vocab. Solar boat, solar boat, solar boat. Pharaoh, pharaoh, pharaoh. gold mask, gold mask, gold mask. And this gold mask is for the king Tutankhamun. Limestones, limestones, limestones. Report, report, report. Newspaper, newspaper, newspaper. Here we have an info about the Grand Egyptian Museum. The Grand Egyptian Museum has more than 5,000 items that belonged to the pharaoh Tutankhamun. So now, let's know these writing tips. When you give information, you often have to answer questions such as who, what, when, where, and how. So to write notes, you have to answer questions like, who is this? What is he doing? When these events happened? Where these actions take place? And how this action happened? You give facts. So in writing notes, you give facts, not opinions. You don't write about your opinions or your thoughts. You just write about facts. Facts can include names, dates, and places. So when you take note in the museum, you write names of kings, dates about their birth and death, places where they live, and something like this. Then you can add more interest by giving extra information. So when you give extra information, you might use yes or no question. This might not answer a WH question, but it's something that people might want to know. If you have an extra information, you can choose another question word to ask, or you can choose yes or no question to add extra information that make interest to your notes. So here we have some question words. What? It's used to ask about specific things, people, animals, or objects. So what is this? What is he doing? Something like that. Where? You ask about place or site. Where is this place? Or where does this action take place? It's used to ask about place or position. When? It's used to ask about time, occasions, and moment. When you ask, when did this pharaoh born? Why? Why? It's used to ask about reason or explanation. Which? We used to ask about choice or alternative. Who? It used to ask about people or person. Whose? It used to ask about who is the possessor of something. When you have the possessor of something, you ask with whose. We use how to ask about how this thing is made. It used to ask about conditions or circumstances, quality, make, manner, form, events, and the way things are done. After we know all this information, let's move to some notes in a museum. Statue of Amenhotep III. What is it? Here we ask with what? We want to know what are these statues. The statue of Amenhotep III, his wife Tea, and their 3 daughters. So this picture is about the statue of Amenhotep III, his wife, and their daughters. Okay, there are their 3 daughters. How old is it? How old are these statues? About 3,400 years old. So they are very ancient. What is it made of? What is the material that Pharaoh used to build these statues? They use limestone. Limestone. How big is it? How big is it? 7 meters tall. So all these statues are 7 meters tall. 4.4 meters wide. So the wide here is 4.4 meter and the tall is 7 meters. Where is it from? From Luxor. So here we ask about the place of these statues. And the second note is about Pharaoh Khufu's solar pot. This is the solar pot of the Pharaoh Khufu. And of course Khufu has the biggest pyramid. What is it? What we can see in this picture? A wooden boat found in Pharaoh Khufu tomb. So we found this boat in Khufu tomb. How old is it? How old is this boat? It's about 4,600 years old. What is it made of? What is the material the Pharaoh used to build this solar boat? Wood. The material is wood. How big is it? How big is it? 42 meters long. So this boat is about 42 meters long. Where is it from? Where is it from? Here we ask about the place or the position. It's from Giza. The last one is about Tutankhamun's mask, this golden mask. What is it? A gold mask. How old is it? Over 3,000 years old. What is it made of? Gold. So this mask is made of gold. How big is it? 45 centimeters tall. So it's about half a meter. It's about half a meter. Where is it from? The Valley of the Kings. The Valley of the Kings. So now we know how to take note in a museum about monuments that we can see in a museum and how to answer the questions. Here, all these information are facts, not our opinion.